granddaughter discovers her grandpa's shocking secret when she finds out what he filmed. Emma had always thought of her grandpa James as a simple man. He was a worn soul with laughter lines that crinkled at the edges of his eyes, a patient listener, and her greatest ally. So when her mother told her to clean out the attic after his passing, Emma assumed she'd stumble upon scrapbooks and old Christmas ornaments, relics of a life well lived. But what she found left her heart racing. Buried beneath dusty boxes and musty smell of forgotten use was a small wooden chest. It looked ancient, with intricate carvings that danced across its surface as if whispering secrets. Emma's fingers trembled as she pried it open, revealing a stack of dusty old home movies, each labeled in her grandpa's meticulous handwriting. Initially, she expected to see her giggling toddler self at birthday parties, family vacations, and amateur productions of plays featuring cousins in cardboard crowns. Instead, the first film she watched flipped the world she knew on its head. The screen flickered to life, and grainy images materialized, transporting her into a dimly lit room filled with shadows. Low conversation buzzed like a swarm of bees, and Emma leaned forward, her heart thumping. Faces she recognized, family members she adored, were speaking in hurried whispers, exchanging glances that seemed charged with tension. Then came the shocking revelation. Her grandpa was at the center of it all, arguing with somber men in suits, faces masked by anxiety. He looked different, stern, even fearsome. Emma's stomach lurched as she watched him nod earnestly, sealing deals that seemed darker than bedtime stories had ever let on. What was he involved in? Who were these people? And why hadn't she ever known? Each video led her deeper into an underground world of unexpected alliances, daring escapes, and perilous betrayals. They unfolded like a gripping novel, revealing not just her grandpa's secret life, but shattering her childhood image of him. An unsettling truth gnawed at her. He hadn't just lived, he had survived in ways she had never imagined. Twists flashed across the screen, witnesses with hushed tones, unknown addresses that screamed danger, and confrontations laced with betrayal that echoed like thunder in a storm. Chills skated down her spine as she felt the weight of her discovery. It wasn't just about her grandpa. It was about loyalty, trust, and the haunting question of whether revealing these truths would mend or fracture her family forever. As she shut the laptop, a cold surge of fear gripped her. The shadows of his past loomed large, and a weight of knowledge felt heavy, a labyrinth with no clear exit. And just as she might have stepped back, the attic door creaked open, a figure looming in the doorway. Her heart raced. Had someone followed her up here? "Emma, what are you doing?" a familiar voice said, dripping with suspicion. Her cousin Alex stood there, hostility etched across his face. "You shouldn't be poking around." Not after what happened. Her mind raced, questions bubbling to the surface. What were they really hiding? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below too. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Emma, What are you doing? Her cousin Alex's voice pierced through the attic's dusty silence. The air grew thick, tension wrapping around them like a tight band. Emma's heart raced. She opened her mouth to explain, but the words tangled up inside her. Did he know what she had uncovered? Just looking around, she said, trying to sound casual. But the fear in her voice betrayed her. Don't lie, he snapped, stepping closer. Shadows flickered around them, the dim light casting sharp lines on his face. You shouldn't be poking around, not after what happened. What do you mean? Emma's voice trembled, an ice pick of dread jabbing at her stomach. A chill ran through her, and she could feel the weight of her discovery settling on her shoulders. Alex glanced back over his shoulder, as if expecting someone to eavesdrop from the shadows. Just put it back, Emma. You don't know what you're getting into. The warnings hung between them, heavy and real. They had played together as kids, shared secrets painted in the vibrant colors of childhood. But now, the air felt sharp, like broken glass. What's going on? Why are you acting like this? Emma asked, her insides twisting. The thought of her grandpa's hidden life loomed large, shadows curling around the discovery that had shattered everything she thought she knew. Don't you get it? We're not safe. His voice dropped to a whisper, urgency crawling into every word. There are people who want that. What? Emma bit her lip, desperate for clarity. The weight of his gaze pinned her in place. What are you talking about? Alex took a deep breath, his hands trembling. What you found in those films? It's bigger than just Grandpa. He was involved in things that could break our family apart. A shiver ran down Emma's spine. What do you mean? What could be so bad? But before Alex could answer, a loud crash echoed from below, rattling the very walls of the old house. Emma jumped, her heart pounding. She exchanged a wide-eyed glance with Alex. Stay here, he hissed as he darted toward the attic door. Wait, she called, but he was already gone, the scuff of his footsteps fading into the stairwell. Emma stood frozen, the chest sitting like a ticking bomb at her feet. She wanted to flee, to follow him, but the curiosity clawed at her. Could this be it? The secret she feared? Suddenly, the attic felt smaller, the shadows more oppressive. She grabbed the laptop, her heart thudding against her ribcage. Then another sound broke through, the soft whir of a motor. She whipped around to see a strange, flickering light seeping in through the cracks of an old sliding door at the far end of the attic. What was happening now? Her pulse quickened. She edged closer, the tension in the room wrapping tighter, the air thick with suspense. The flicker grew, morphing into a rhythm almost like a heartbeat. With trembling fingers, she pushed the door open just a crack, and her breath caught. Inside was a room she had never known existed. A hidden space lined with monitors and strange equipment. The screens lit up images of her family, their faces contorted in worry, confusion, and fear, just like hers. Emma? A voice broke through the chaos, and she spun around, her heart dropping into her stomach. A hooded figure stood by the far wall, an ominous presence. She could hardly see a face, but she could feel the weight of intent behind that darkness. "Who are you?" she managed to choke out, terror wrapping around her throat. "Why are you here, girl?" The figure's voice was low and raspy. "You shouldn't have seen any of this." Emma's mind raced. Threads of loyalty and betrayal twisted dangerously in the air. The reality of her grandpa's life shattered her heart. But the truth before her pulled her in deeper. What had she stumbled into? And what would she uncover next? She had wanted answers, but now she feared what they might cost her. The shadows deepened once more, and the figure stepped closer, a cruel smile forming within the hood. You've opened Pandora's box, Emma. Now there's no turning back. The figure moved closer, merging with the shadows. Emma's heart hammered in her chest, and her breath quickened. You've opened Pandora's box, Emma. Now there's no turning back. The words dripped with malice. She could barely comprehend what was happening, her instincts screaming at her to run. Just then, a sharp noise cut through the tension. A sudden buzzing from one of the monitors. The screen flickered and morphed, revealing a live feed. Emma leaned closer, her pulse racing. The image shifted, showing a room filled with people dressed in black, faces twisted in anger, fists slamming against walls. They looked dangerous. "Turn it off!" Emma shouted, her voice jagged with panic. But the figure only chuckled, dark and low. "You need to see this, girl." The live feed zoomed in on a man, a tall figure with a familiar face, one she had known all her life. Anguish pricked at Emma's heart. It was her father. "What? No, not him! He can't be involved!" Tears pricked at her eyes. Shock rippled through her. Her father was supposed to be the good one, the attentive dad who taught her to ride a bike, who made pancakes on Sunday mornings. How could he be in a place like that, with people like that? "You're wrong," the figure hissed, stepping from the shadows. Emma's breath caught as the dim light illuminated the face beneath the hood. It was someone she recognized, a family friend, a kind man who often brought donuts on Saturday mornings. "Mr. Collins? But how?" His face twisted into a malevolent grin. "You have no idea what you're wrapped up in, do you? Your grandpa's secrets run deeper than you can fathom." And so do your dad's. The feed continued to pulse with chaos, the harsh sounds of shouting and crashing ringing out. Emma stumbled back. "No! This can't be true!" But Mr. Collins leaned forward, his breath a hot rasp against her skin. "It's all connected, Emma. Your family, a web of lies. You've just scratched the surface." Suddenly, her phone buzzed loudly, startling her. She glanced down to see a message from her mother. "Get out of the house, now!" Her heart sank. The urgency was palpable. Emma's fingers trembled as she shook her head in disbelief. "But I need to know. What did he do? What were they arguing about?" Before Mr. Collins could answer, the room trembled, the ground shaking violently beneath her feet. The monitors flickered, and she glanced back at the screen. The live footage turned chaotic, fire bursting into view, bright orange flames licking at her father's leg as he tried to escape. "No!" she screamed, a spiral of worry clawing at her throat. And then it happened. A loud crash echoed from somewhere below, splintering through the attic's floor. The lights flickered ominously. A sharp pop erupted from one of the monitors, the screen shattering into shards of glass. "Leave now!" Mr. Collins hissed, eyes darkening. But Emma stood frozen, horror engulfing her. "What did you do? What are you hiding?" "Run!" he shouted again, and in that moment she saw something she never expected. A flicker of fear crossed his face, a hint that shattered her certainty. Before she could process the twist, the attic door burst open and Alex dashed in, his face a mask of terror. You need to come with me! They found us! Emma's breath quickened. Who? What's happening? But Alex's grip tightened around her wrist. We have to go, now! The clock was ticking. The air crackled with danger. Emma stood at the intersection of secrets, family, and trust, torn between the pieces she had unearthed and the gravity of her reality. Emma, go! Alex urged, glancing back to where the shadows loomed, darker than ever. As the walls seemed to close in around her, Emma was overcome by an unrelenting urge to break free from everything familiar. What had she really stumbled upon? And as her heart raced with dread, she realized that every choice she made would send ripples through her family. With one last look at Mr. Collins, whose smile had vanished, she turned to her cousin. Lead the way! But as they rushed to escape, chaotic sounds behind them echoed. A rush of feet, shouting voices. And for the first time, Emma understood. The truth was lurking around every corner, ready to consume them. What awaited them outside the attic could change everything she thought she knew. The door swung open. Would it lead to freedom or a new kind of captivity? Emma, go! Alex urged, his grip tightening around her wrist as he pulled her toward the door. Her heart raced. The urgency in his voice pushed her instincts into overdrive. They burst out of the attic, into the narrow hallway. Alex led the way, his footsteps pounding against the wooden floor like war drums. Blood buzzed in Emma's ears, drowning out everything else. She could feel the panic crawling up her throat. What's happening? She gasped, trying to keep up. Just keep moving! Alex shot back, glancing over his shoulder. Shadows seemed to stretch and dance, as if they too were alive with the fear that clung to their every step. The house felt like a labyrinth, twisting and turning. Emma wanted answers, but there wasn't time. Two thoughts raced through her mind, her grandpa's hidden. Life and the chaos that was spiraling out of control. As they reached the staircase, a loud bang echoed from downstairs, reverberating through the walls. Emma froze. What was that? She whispered, dread pooling in her stomach. Alex's eyes widened. We have to hurry. They descended the stairs, the wood creaking beneath their feet. But Emma's mind was trapped in a whirlwind of questions. What had her grandpa been involved in? What had Alex meant by "they found us"? A sudden crash sent a jolt through her, making her gasp. Alex! Just before they reached the door that led to the front hall, Alex stopped, his face turning pale. Emma, wait! What now? But before he could respond, the door flew open, revealing a group of men dressed in black, faces masked like shadows of nightmares. Emma's breath hitched in her throat. Run! Alex shouted, pushing her back toward the staircase. As the men surged forward, the world around her spun. Fear gripped her like a vice. They bolted upstairs again. But suddenly, unexpectedly, there was another crash from behind them. Emma turned, and to her horror, she saw one of the men had broken through, grabbing Alex by the collar. Emma, go! He yelled again, but it was too late. She felt paralyzed with fear. The man dragged her cousin back into the fray. Run! Alex's voice faded as he vanished from her sight, leaving her alone and terrified. Adrenaline surged through Emma's veins, pushing her into action. She rushed toward the attic door, heart pounding like a drum. She had to escape. She had to get out. Just then, the sound of the commotion below shifted. She could hear shouting. Pairs of footsteps were racing up the stairs. Emma's heart sank. It was chaos. In that moment, a scream echoed through the hallway, piercing the air like a knife. It was Alex. Emma! Tears sprang to Emma's eyes. Fear clawed at her. She sprinted back toward the attic, but as she turned the corner, she collided with someone familiar. Emma? It was her mother, her face stricken with fear. "What are you doing here?" "Mom, what are you doing?" Emma cried, confusion washing over her. "Alex, they've taken him." Her mother's expression hardened, eyes flashing with something Emma couldn't quite pin down. "You shouldn't have come here. None of this should be happening." "Why? What do you know?" Emma begged, desperation flooding her veins. Suddenly, there was a loud crash, and the men in black stormed into sight, eyes darting wildly. Emma's stomach dropped as she realized they didn't just want her grandpa's secrets. They wanted her family. "Get her!" one shouted, reaching for Emma's arm. Her reflexes kicked in and she dodged, narrowly avoiding their grasp. "Mom!" she yelled, but her voice felt tiny against the chaos. "What is going on?" With an intensity Emma had never seen, her mother stepped forward, blocking her path. "Listen to me, Emma. There's something you still don't understand." "What?" Emma's voice trembled, feeling the room close in. Just then, the wall shook again, and the ceiling above them creaked ominously. With a swift motion, Emma's mother pulled her back, and Emma caught a glimpse of something reflecting in her mother's eyes. Fear mixed with an unshakable resolve. "It's about your father, and your grandpa, and me." The air thickened with anticipation as her mother's words hung between them, heavy and foreboding. "What do you mean?" Emma whispered, her heart tightening. Just then, the roof filled with a blinding light, a flash so bright it pushed against her eyelids like a hammer. "What the—" Emma gasped as the intense glare enveloped them. Then it faded as quickly as it had come, leaving a whispering silence. Emma blinked, trying to catch her breath, but her mother's expression had transformed. "Emma, you don't know who we really are," she said slowly, almost as if she were afraid of the truth. "What do you mean?" But before she could finish, the attic door burst open and a figure stumbled in, a familiar silhouette holding something small and metallic in his hand. "Emma!" It was Alex, pale and shaken. And in that moment, everything twisted. Again, her brother's wide eyes darted back to her mother. "You shouldn't be here!" "What?" Emma's mind reeled. "Emma, listen!" Alex's voice was urgent, filled with an unspoken truth. But then, from the shadows, the group of men reappeared, and in an instant, chaos broke loose again. Amid the uncertainty, Emma's heart thundered. Secrets, half-formed truths, and betrayals waved like shadows around her. In the blur of voices and confusion, she was left with one haunting thought. Perhaps everyone had a side she never imagined. What were they hiding? Whose secrets ran deeper than she'd ever known? And as the darkness closed in, Emma felt the ground shift beneath her feet. Where would the next moment lead? "Emma!" Alex's voice cut through the chaos like a knife. His eyes darted back to their mom. "You shouldn't be here!" "What?" Emma felt a rush of panic. The men in black surged closer, their intentions clear. They looked like predators, filled with a kind of menace that twisted her stomach. "What is happening?" she cried out, her breath quickening. "Emma, stay behind me," her mother commanded, standing firm, her eyes sharp with intensity. It was a side Emma had never seen. Fear and strength coiled dangerously together. "No, Alex!" Emma screamed as she watched the men close in, ready to pounce. Her heart raced, pounding in her ears, drowning everything else out. Just then, the men... "Enough of this!" she shouted, a fierce fire blazing in her eyes. "You won't touch my children!" Emma's breath caught. Who was this woman? This commanding figure wasn't the timid mom she knew. The atmosphere crackled with tension, swirling like a storm. "What do you mean?" Emma's voice cracked. "This has gone too far." Her mother's voice rang out, quaking with a mix of fear and anger. "You don't understand what you're playing with." Suddenly, the door swung wide open. A dark shadow filled the doorway, and a figure stormed into the room, an unexpected sight. It was her father, dressed in a clean suit, looking sharper than ever. His eyes filled with urgency, he stepped forward. "Emma!" He reached for her, desperation etched in his face. "We have to leave right now." Confusion swirled inside her, like a tornado. "Dad, what's happening? Where's Alex?" And then she noticed it, a flash in her father's eyes, something almost unrecognizable. For a moment, she saw fear and an urgency that took her breath away. "Stay back, everyone!" her father's deep voice commanded. "You have no idea how dangerous this really is." "Dad," Emma began, but before she could finish, there was an explosion. A deafening blast shook the entire house. The windows shattered, glass flying everywhere. And Emma ducked instinctively, feeling shards prick her skin. In that moment of chaos, everything shifted. The men in black stumbled, but something in their eyes, an understanding, a connection, seemed to bring them alive. They weren't just hired goons. They had purpose, a drive that sent icy chills down her spine. And then her mother screamed, "Get him out of here!" "Wait! What?" Emma was lost, her head spinning. She processed the flashes of movement around her, the urgency, fear, and chaos, all rising to a boiling point. "Emma, listen to me!" her father shouted over the noise. "Everything you think you know is a lie. I never wanted this life for you, for any of us." "What life? What do you mean?" Tears blurred her vision, anger and pain surging within her. Then, with one swift motion, her mother pulled something from her pocket, a small metallic device. "This is the key. It holds all the answers." The men in black exchanged dangerous glances, tension building. "No!" one of them yelled. "You can't!" But before they could react, Emma's mother pressed a button on the device. The air crackled. A blinding light surged from it, illuminating the entire attic before swallowing everything in darkness. Emma felt an overwhelming pull, a gust of wind like a hurricane swirling around her. And then she couldn't feel the ground beneath her feet. She was weightless, suspended in time, grappling with the shock of what had just happened. In that moment, she caught fleeting glimpses of her family's history, their hidden secrets unveiled against the harsh light, the betrayal woven into their lives like dark threads in a tapestry. And just before everything faded, a haunting thought seized her. Could she trust them? As the darkness closed around her, one question lingered. What had just happened? And when the light returned, would anything ever be the same again? The world spun back into focus, colors swirling before Emma's eyes. She blinked, trying to shake off the brightness that felt like it had scorched her skin. Her heart thundered in her chest, each beat echoing with questions. Where was she? What had just happened? Surrounded by her family, Everything was a blur. The light dimmed, shadows creeping back in as she caught glimpses of her parents' faces, tightened with worry, filled with desperation. Her father stood tall, his eyes dark pools of concern, while her mother's expression was a storm of determination. "Emma!" her father shouted, his voice breaking through the thick haze. "We need to move!" She felt trapped in a web of secrets, each one taunting her. Just then, an ear-splitting crash shattered the air, the roof groaning as if the house itself were in pain. Dust and debris rained down, sending everyone diving for cover. Emma rolled, her heart pounding wildly. She could hear shouts rising from below, interspersed with the sound of footsteps clambering up the stairs. "We need to get out," her father yelled, urgency screaming through his voice. As they scrambled to their feet, her father grasped her hand. But then, the attic door burst open again. Emma's heart dropped. There was Alex, trailed closely by a figure, thick with menace. It was Mr. Collins, his presence suddenly feeling like a dark cloud. Emma's stomach churned, dread mixing with confusion. "Alex, you're okay?" But before he could answer, Mr. Collins pushed past him, his face twisted in anger. "You shouldn't be here." He lunged for Emma, but her mother stepped forward, shielded her with an intensity Emma had never seen. "Get away from her!" her mother shouted, unwavering. "There's no time for this," Collins shouted back. "They know where we are. They'll come for you." Then, with a sudden crack, the light in the room flickered and went dead. Silence hung heavily, wrapping around them like shock. Emma's heart threatened to leap from her chest. And then it happened. The ground shook violently. She barely held her feet. The walls felt like they were closing in. A sudden roar erupted from behind them. The men in black were coming. "Go! Now!" her father shouted, his voice filled with raw fear. But before they could make a move, a blinding flash exploded from the doorway. White-hot light blinded Emma. She shielded her eyes. When she opened them again, the space transformed. She wasn't in the attic anymore. Her heart raced. She gasped. A sterile room surrounded her, filled with high-tech equipment and glowing screens. It felt like a scene from a sci-fi movie. Where are we?" Emma's voice trembled. "Safe," her father said, but there was something in his tone that set Emma's heart racing. And then, the unexpected. A deep, chilling laugh echoed from the shadows. A figure stepped forward, a woman in a sharp suit, her eyes "Twin sister. You didn't think we'd let you walk away from the truth, did you?" Everything felt like it had cracked apart at the seams. The rush of disbelief washed over her. "Aunt? But you're dead." A dark smile curled the woman's lips. "Ah, that's what they wanted you to believe." Dread twisted in Emma's gut. Her life was unraveling faster than she could comprehend. "You lied?" she whispered, her voice barely a breath. Before she could process, her mother stepped forward, face pale. "We didn't know. We didn't know she was alive. Why would you keep this from me?" Emma swung her gaze between her parents, hurt spilling from her voice. Her aunt chuckled, stepping closer, her presence darkening everything. Their life and death. Emma felt the world spin beneath her. A storm of emotions raged inside her, confusion blending with rage. "What do you mean?" "Because someone has to pay, and you're the one who opened Pandora's box." The weight of her aunt's words crashed into her, suffocating her. "What's that supposed to mean?" But before she could breathe, another explosion rocked the space, and alarms blared like war cries. Her father gripped her arm, urgency flooding his movements. "We have to move." And just as they were about to escape, the lights flickered back on, illuminating new faces in the room. Faces from her past that turned her blood cold. Friends, family, people she thought she could trust, were now stepping toward them, eyes cold like steel. "Emma, join us," Mr. Collins said, his voice wrapped in shadows. "You'll find the truth doesn't care about family." Panic surged within her. Lines of loyalty were bending and breaking. Choices hung heavy around her neck. Everything she thought she knew was crashing down. All around her, the walls seemed to close in. She was at a crossroads, trapped between love and betrayal. Would the truth shatter or save her family? As her heart raced, she couldn't help but think, who could she trust now? The air hummed with tension as Emma stood frozen, caught between her mother and the men in black. Fear twisted in her gut, the room pulsing with unspoken truths. Mr. Collins eyed her like a predator. "You need to choose your side, Emma," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "Please, we can help you," her aunt taunted, stepping closer. "You don't want to get caught in this mess." The walls felt like they were closing in. Clarity was replaced with chaos. Emma blinked at her parents, desperate for answers, but found only determination etched on their features. "Mom? Dad?" she stammered, panic rising in her chest. "What do you really know?" A deep crash rocked the room again, shaking everything. The ceiling creaked ominously, dust cascading like a storm. Someone screamed from behind them. Her brother's voice rang clear. "Get away from her!" Alex shouted, shoving through the shadows, panting and disheveled. Relief washed over Emma. But before she could say anything, the air shifted. Behind Alex, another figure appeared. This one swift, clad in black. Emma's heart sank. It was a woman, dressed in a familiar style, her hair cascading around her shoulders. But it was the face that sent shockwaves through Emma. "Mom!" The word escaped her lips, barely a whisper. Her other mother, the one she thought had died when she was small, stood right there, unscathed. The room fell silent, eyes darting between the three women. "Emma!" Her other mother's voice was sweet, yet laced with something darker. "You've grown up so much. What are you doing here?" Emma's voice trembled, disbelief folding over her like a heavy blanket. "This isn't what you think," her real mother pleaded. "You have to listen." But it was too late. Emma felt the ground shift beneath her. The revelation shattered the air, leaving fragments of confusion swirling around her head. "What do you mean?" The urgent voices around her blurred into an echo, but the threat of the men closed in. They were heavy with intention, eyes locked like animals ready to pounce. "Emma, trust us," her other mom said as she stepped forward, hand outstretched, coaxing. "We can keep you safe." "No," Emma cried. "You can't just reappear in my life like this. I don't even know you." With a swift movement, her other mother pulled out something shiny, a small, glimmering object that caught the light. It was a bracelet, a family heirloom long thought lost. "I promise you, everything is connected, but we have to leave now." Before Emma could process, a gunshot pierced the room, shattering the tension like glass. "Get down!" her father yelled as the men dove for cover. Emma felt her heartbeat ricochet in her chest. Chaos erupted. Screams filled the air, the world a blur as her mind spun. There was shouting, chaos, and in the center stood her other mother, glaring confidently, a look that screamed power. Something clicked in Emma's mind. "You planned this?" Her voice quaked, but inside, anger ignited. "Is this all some twisted game? Emma, we—" But the blast of another shot rang out and dust billowed, masking the space around them. Emma coughed, trying to see through the haze. Her thoughts raced, questions flying like arrows. And then she felt it, a coldness wash over her, seeping into her bones. The realization hit her hard, a blow that knocked the wind out of her. "You're not here to protect us. You're here to manipulate us. Emma!" But it was too late. The air crackled with danger. The world spun around her, and through the chaos, her brother Alex's face morphed into something unrecognizable. Power, darkness, and a kind of madness danced in his eyes. "Alex?" Emma's voice trembled, uncertainty pooling in the pit of her stomach. "What's happening?" But before he could respond, darkness engulfed them. Emma felt weightless as the room distorted, emotions electrifying the air. And then she heard it, a voice like thunder resonating through the chaos. "You weren't meant to find out, Emma. But now you've opened the door." Everything shifted as a new plot twisted into their lives, revealing deeper secrets that splintered her family and shattered her world in ways she couldn't yet understand. In that moment, standing before a family divided, with betrayal wrapping around her like chains, Emma thought, how much had they been hiding? And as the darkness surged forward, she realized she might not survive to find out. The world spun back into focus, colors swirling before Emma's eyes. She blinked, trying to shake off the brightness that felt like it had scorched her skin. Her heart thundered in her chest, each beat echoing with questions. Where was she? What had just happened? Surrounded by her family, everything was a blur. The light dimmed, shadows creeping back in as she caught glimpses of her parents' faces, tightened with worry, filled with desperation. Her father stood tall, his eyes dark pools of concern, while her mother's expression was a storm of determination. "Emma!" her father shouted, his voice breaking through the thick haze. "You need to move!" Without thinking, Emma reached for her brother, her instincts screaming to stick together. "Alex!" But he was gone, lost in the chaos. Panic welled up in her throat. "Where is he?" Her mom's eyes flickered with fear. "We can't stay. They'll find us." "What do you mean? Who?" Emma's heart raced faster, fingers trembling. The threads of this mess were starting to unravel. She felt trapped in a web of secrets, each one taunting her. Just then, an ear-splitting crash shattered the air, the roof groaning as if the house itself were in pain. Dust and debris rained down, sending everyone diving for cover. Emma rolled, her heart pounding wildly. She could hear shouts rising from below, interspersed with the sound of footsteps clamoring up the stairs. "We need to get out," her father yelled, urgency screaming through his voice. As they scrambled to their feet, her father grasped her hand. But then the attic door burst open again. Emma's heart dropped. There was Alex, trailed closely by a figure, thick with menace. It was Mr. Pollins, his presence suddenly feeling like a dark cloud. Emma's stomach churned, dread mixing with confusion. "Alex, you're okay?" But before he could answer, Mr. Collins pushed past him, his face twisted in anger. "You shouldn't be here!" He lunged for Emma, but her mother stepped forward, shielding her with an intensity Emma had never seen. "Get away from her!" her mother shouted, unwavering. "There's no time for this!" Collins shouted back. "They know where we are! They'll come for you!" Then, with a sudden crack, the light in the room flickered and went dead. Silence hung heavily, wrapping around them like shock. Emma's heart threatened to leap from her chest. Before they could make a move, a blinding flash exploded from the doorway. White-hot light blinded Emma. She shielded her eyes. When she opened them again, the space transformed. She wasn't in the attic anymore. Her heart raced. She gasped. A sterile room surrounded her, filled with high-tech equipment and glowing screens. It felt like a scene from a sci-fi movie. Where are we?" Emma's voice trembled. "Safe," her father said. But there was something in his tone that set Emma's heart racing. And then, the unexpected. A deep, chilling laugh echoed from the shadows. A figure stepped forward, a woman in a sharp suit, her eyes gleaming with something sinister. "Welcome to our little family reunion," she said, her voice smooth as silk. Emma's stomach dropped. "Who are you?" The woman pushed her hair back, exposing a face Emma recognized. "I'm your aunt, Emma. Your mother's twin sister. You didn't think we'd let you walk away from the truth, did you?" Everything felt like it had cracked apart at the seams. The rush of disbelief washed over her. "Aunt? But you're dead." A dark smile curled the woman's lips. "Huh, that's what they wanted you to believe." Dread twisted in Emma's gut. Her life was unraveling faster than she could comprehend. "You lied?" she whispered, her voice barely a breath. Before she could process, her mother stepped forward, face pale. "We didn't know! We didn't know she was alive! Why would you keep this from me?" Emma swung her gaze between her parents, hurt spilling from her voice. Her aunt chuckled, stepping closer, her presence darkening everything. "Because, dear Emma, the truth isn't as pretty as you think. Your family's secrets run deeper than betrayal. They're life and death." Emma felt the world spin beneath her. A storm of emotions raged inside her, confusion blending with rage. "What do you mean?" "Because someone has to pay, and you're the one who opened Pandora's box." The weight of her aunt's words crashed into her, suffocating her. "What's that supposed to mean?" But before she could breathe, another explosion rocked the space, and alarms blared like war cries. Her father gripped her arm, urgency flooding his movements. "We have to move!" And just as they were about to escape, the lights flickered back on, illuminating new faces in the room. Faces from her past that turned her blood cold. Friends, family, people she thought she could trust were now stepping toward them, eyes cold like steel. "Emma, join us, mister," Collins said, his voice wrapped in shadows. "You'll find the truth doesn't care about family." Panic surged within her. Lines of loyalty were bending and breaking. Choices hung heavy around her neck. All around her, the walls seemed to close in. She was at a crossroads, trapped between love and betrayal. "Emma!" her father yelled, pulling her close. "You can't trust anyone here!" But before she could react, a familiar voice sliced through the chaos. "You don't have to hide behind him, Emma. You can choose." Emma turned and gasped. "No way!" It was Lily, her childhood best friend, a ghost from her past. "Lily, How? Enough of the theatrics! Her aunt snapped, frustration dripping from her voice. This doesn't concern you! But Lily stepped forward, defiant. It concerns her more than you know. Emma, you're not just a pawn in their game. What game? Emma's heart raced, sparks of shock igniting inside her. Lily's face softened. Your family has been protecting you from something darker. I'm not who you think I am. None of us are. Emma blinked in disbelief. What do you mean? Who are you? And as Lily's eyes locked onto Emma's, a strange glow enveloped her. I was sent to guide you, to reveal the truth. But I didn't expect your grandpa's past would drag me back into this. A jolt of realization hit Emma like a punch to the gut. You mean all this? Suddenly, Lily's form flickered, her features shifting. More intense than confusion, Emma felt something cold creep up her spine. Who was this girl? At that moment, the ground shook fiercely again. The chaos escalated. Emma, make your choice. Her aunt growled, desperation edging her voice. Choose? Emma's heart raced. What are you talking about? Your loyalty, Mr. Collins thundered. Your family or your friend. Choose who you really trust. And then it all collapsed. In a split second, Emma saw a flash of something. Her mother's eyes filled with panic. Lily's face changing. Her thread of betrayal emerging from darkness. Would she join her family, or follow the friendship she believed was true? Emma took a deep breath, a voice whispering somewhere inside. Could she really trust anyone? Time seemed to freeze as she prepared to answer, instincts on high alert. The shadows loomed closer, decisions crashing down around her like waves. Choices to be made, lives to be lost. In that heart-stopping second, would the truth emerge, or would darkness claim her first? Emma! Her father yelled, pulling her close. You can't trust anyone here. But before she could react, a familiar voice sliced through the chaos. You don't have to hide behind him, Emma. You can choose. Emma turned, her breath hitching. Lily? How? Enough of the theatrics, her aunt snapped, cutting Lily off. This doesn't concern you. But Lily took a step forward, defiant. It concerns her more than you know. Emma, you're not just a pawn in their game. What game? Emma's heart raced. Sparks of shock igniting inside her. Lily's face softened. Your family has been protecting you from something darker. I'm not who you think I am. None of us are. Emma blinked in disbelief. What do you mean? Who are you? And as Lily's eyes locked onto Emma's, a strange glow enveloped her. I was sent to guide you, to reveal the truth. But I didn't expect your grandpa's past would drag me back into this. A jolt of realization hit Emma like a punch to the gut. You mean all this? Suddenly, her aunt's expression darkened and rage flared in her eyes. No! Enough of this nonsense! Emma, they know too much! We can't let them! Before her aunt finished, the ground shook again, a violent tremor that rattled the walls. The lights flickered menacingly, and chaos erupted. Emma, choose now! Her father shouted, panic flooding his voice. Choose? Emma's heart raced. What are you talking about? Your loyalty, Mr. Collins thundered. Your family or your friend? Choose who you really trust. Then it all collapsed. In a split second, Emma saw flashes of something. Her mother's eyes filled with panic, Lily's face changing, her thread of betrayal emerging from darkness. Would she join her family or follow the friendship she believed was true? Emma took a deep breath, a voice whispering somewhere inside. Could she really trust anyone? Just then, the door burst open, and a figure rushed in, silhouetted against the chaos. A man, cloaked in shadows. As the light cut through the dust, Emma's heart stopped. "Choose, Emma," the stranger barked, revealing himself. It was her grandpa. "Grandpa?" Emma gasped, disbelief gripping her throat. She had thought he was gone, just a memory. Confusion and joy collided in a moment. "Get away from her!" "Got some nerve. You vanished, left us to deal with the aftermath, and now you show up like a ghost?" Emma could see the tension crackle like static in the air. "What are you talking about?" she nearly shouted. But before anyone could respond, her grandpa raised his hand, and everything seemed to freeze. "I didn't vanish. I was taken. And the truth is, I'm not who you think I am." His words struck like lightning. Emma felt her stomach drop. "What do you mean? What are you—" He stepped forward, his gaze steady but filled with an urgency that made the air thick. "I'm part of something bigger, a network that has been watching us. And Lily? She's not just here to help. She's connected to this too." Lily's eyes widened, and Emma felt her heart race faster. "Connected how?" "I'm your cousin," Lily said, the words heavy with confession. "And we're part of a legacy that's been hidden for decades. A legacy that you've only just begun to uncover." Emma felt the ground shift beneath her. Everything she thought she understood tipped on its axis. "You're lying!" "No, I'm not," her grandpa pressed, desperation tightening his voice. "I thought I could protect you, but now they're coming for you, for all of us." "What do you mean they?" Emma's voice shook, fear clawing at her chest. And then came a high-pitched noise, a siren that made her blood run cold. Shadows lurked outside the doorway. "They're here," her grandpa said, panic dousing his words. "And if we don't leave now, we'll be caught in the storm." But there was more. Her entire family, the foundation of who she believed they were, crumbled right in front of her. Emma stood at the edge, heart racing. Everything seemed to twist, turning her entire world inside out. Then the door burst open again, flooding the room with light. Figures in black surged in, faces masked, eyes cold and determined. "Run!" her grandpa shouted, and Emma felt her heart sink deeper into fear. But in that chaos, one figure peeled away from the group, stepping toward them, and Emma felt her breath hitch again. "Stop right there! Don't to me, all of you! I know the truth now, and I'm done playing the part." And just like that, as everything erupted into chaos, Emma understood. This was bigger than her, bigger than any family secret. Alex had changed sides, and in that moment, everything she believed shattered into a million pieces. "Why?" she screamed, feeling the ground give way beneath her. The one person she thought would stand by her was now a stranger. As darkness rushed toward her, Emma realized the real battle was only just beginning. Emma's heart raced as chaos erupted around her. The familiar warmth of familial love had curled into a serrated stone of betrayal. Alex stood there, face taut with fury, as if he had become someone else entirely. "Alex, please! This isn't who you are," she pleaded, her voice cracking. "Enough! You never understood what we had to sacrifice." His eyes flashed with something darker. She could hardly recognize her brother. Sacrifice? Emma echoed, confusion tightening in her chest. You think siding with them is going to make everything better? Silence, barked Mr. Collins, stepping closer. You don't get to decide anymore. You've meddled in things beyond your understanding. And now you're a target. Just as the tension peaked, a distant siren wailed, like a predator in the night, calling its kin. The walls trembled, dust raining down upon them. In an instant, her grandfather lunged forward, authority igniting in his voice. We have no time to waste! Emma, stick by me! But Emma's heart wrenched as she shifted her gaze to Lily, whose expression was one of determination. Emma, listen. The only way to end this is to confront the truth together. What truth? Emma shouted, feeling a singular pulse of desperation. Everyone's been lying. I don't know who to believe anymore. Believe in yourself, Lily insisted fiercely. You are the key. They can't control what they don't understand. Emma faltered, the weight of those words grounding her in the storm of chaos. Was she truly the linchpin in this tangled web? Was the power she felt a truth she could wield? Let's go, now, her father yelled. Sprinting toward the exit, urgency radiating from him, with a final look at Alex, his face a mask of anger and hurt, Emma felt the ground shifting beneath her resolve. She had to decide. Was she fighting for her family or stepping into something bigger that might change everything? Join me, Emma, Alex yelled, but a light flickered in, her mind illuminating a path forward. With a breath fueled by newfound determination, she clasped Lily's hand. Together, she said, and it felt right. Suddenly, the space erupted into action. The men in black advanced, but Emma and Lily charged forward, locked haven against chaos. Move! Shouted her grandfather. As they broke free, the bright sun hit Emma's face like a rushing wave, pushing back the shadows of uncertainty. The garden, lush and alive, felt like a sanctuary. She darted behind a bush, trying to catch her breath. Her family spilled outside, scrambling together. Emma, we need to regroup, her father cried. What now? Emma gasped, glancing back toward the old house, where the past thundered inside like a storm. Face it, her grandfather said, voice firm. We have to confront what we've hidden together. Taking a deep breath that tasted of earth and freedom, Emma stepped forward. We can't run. I need to know the truth about all of this, the good and the bad. Only then can we end this. Eyes flicked between her father and grandfather, each grappling with the weight of silence. Okay, her mother finally blurted, hands trembling. Let's do this. As they gathered, standing shoulder to shoulder in that bright garden, Emma felt the tension shift. Maybe this was a moment of rebirth. They could unite their fractures, bond over truth, prepare for whatever darkness remained. Together, Emma affirmed, locking eyes with her brother one last time, searching for the light that once existed there. Alex turned, but shadows still danced in his gaze. You'll regret this, he snapped. But somewhere deep in her heart, Emma felt a flicker of hope. As he stepped away, the clear sky loomed above, the path ahead uncertain, but brighter than the lies they had lived. And as they faced the sun, together as a family, Emma understood that the real battle was just beginning. But with love and courage guiding them, they had the strength to claim their truth. Now, this is the moment to show your support. You have to subscribe right now so you don't miss any of the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm and flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about the ending. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Don't wait even one more second to share this. Real fans know the power of supporting the channel through these actions.